Muy buenas tardes, noches, bienvenidos. El día de hoy tenemos nuevamente otra entrevista y queremos darle la bienvenida a todos ustedes. Vamos a empezar. We're fixing to just kind of switch over to our English part. A lot of our Hispanic community is bilingual, especially those that are out voting, and we hope to see out in the voting polls coming up. So we want to first of all say that we have Derrick Choice, which is the Smith County Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1, and he is running for reelection. And we're going to talk about what he's accomplished, what his visions are, maybe what he has in plans for the next, if he gets reelected. So we'll talk about that. We'll get to know who Derrick Choice is, so make sure you join us. Stay through. Towards the end, we'll open up for questions if anyone has any questions. And just a reminder, this is not an endorsement. This is not a paid interview. This is just an invitation to educate our people. So first of all, thank you so much for accepting the invitation to be out here. Judge Choice, an honor to have those conversations. Yes. Sometimes a little awkward, sometimes not our usual people, not our usual platforms, but you know what? I think it's important that we, as we talked off air, that we have those conversations between all of the communities, whether you're African American, Hispanic, the Anglo community, the Asians, and who all that we all share this common place called the United States of America. Yeah. So,
okay.
Welcome and thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So let's first of all learn a little bit about who is Derrick Choice, and before we get into the politics and all that stuff, tell us a little bit about yourself in case they don't know you.
Yeah, well, Derrick Choice is a man from Winona. I graduated high school from Winona High School, and I attended college on a football scholarship at Sam Houston State University. I got busted up, came back home, finished up at TJC and UT Tyler. So I hold a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from UT Tyler. I'm married to Vanessa Choice, and we have 3 children, actually 2 bonus children, with my in-laws, with my son-in-law and my daughter-in-law, and we have 5 beautiful grandchildren. Even though I'm from Winona, I've been in Tyler most of my adult life. I've served on the Tyler City Council for 6 years. I was mayor pro tem for 1 year, and I have served on several boards and commissions and all over and organizations throughout this community. So that's kind of a little bit about Derrick Choice.
So when did you decide, politics or judge or being involved in the courts and all this stuff? When did that come about?
Yeah, I guess it came about when I first dipped my toe into politics, which was the city council. And even this position as Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1, it's all about serving the public, serving people. And so when I was serving on the city council, I saw the need, various needs in our community. And so I was able to just determine how much I like serving this community and how much I love this community. And so I knew one day after I finished my term with the city council that I would look for other opportunities in local politics to continue to serve my community.
Okay. Now you were sworn in, 2022?
2022.
Okay.
I was sworn in March 2022. I finished the term of the incumbent Judge Quincy Beavers. He got ill. He was sick, and so he could not finish out the whole year of 2022. So shortly after I was elected in March, I was called and asked, "Are you ready?" And I said, "I guess so." And so I jumped in with both feet. My criminal justice degree did help a little bit to understand some of the legal jargon and the criminal jargon of this position. But I was sworn in March 2022.
March 2022. And during that time, let's say, what has been your biggest accomplishment that you'd say, Judge?
Well, during that time, I guess what's been my biggest accomplishment is to add another clerk. At the time I came in, JP1 only had 2 clerks. And I count that as an accomplishment because adding that third clerk helped us to be more efficient and helped us to better serve the public. In turn, it allowed us to file people's cases, more cases, and we generated more revenue than this office has in several years. And so I was happy to do that. I also closed over 400 dormant cases that was just sitting around and had no closure. And so we got with the district attorney, and we closed over 400 of those cases. We also implemented online where you can file your cases online. That is something different. People don't necessarily have to leave their home to come down to the office. They can get out their computer and file their cases online. So those are some of the things that I'm most proud of since I've been there.
All right. Now, what is the role of the justice of the peace for people that maybe have never gone to court, have never been arrested, or is there more to it? A lot of the times we just think justice of the peace, and you see, oh, someone's passed away, they're the ones to go, and you handle that part of it. Right. Or we have to end up in jail to really see the justice of the peace. Or what is really the role of the justice of the peace?
Well, the role of the justice of the peace is just like you said, it's more to it than people think. We perform inquest, which means going out to someone who has been who has passed away or are in a car wreck or anything like that. You cannot move the body until the justice of the peace arrives and officially declares that person dead. We preside over jury trials. We hold criminal and traffic trials. We complete death certificates. We don't hold truant court, but we read juvenile warnings, and we can sign warrants. We do occupational driver's license. If your driver's license has been suspended, then you can come to the Justice of the Peace Court and apply for an occupational driver's license. We hold small claims court. A lot of times, if you're in my precinct and precinct 1, and your tree falls on my fence, and you want to sue your neighbor, then you have to come to the court and file. We do debt claims where individual owes a credit card company, and they have to come in to the court to determine a judgment on that as well. We do a lot of things. We preside over any type of animal, dogs, or any type of hearings where you did not properly vaccinate your pets. Then you can be filed on, and that case comes to the court as well. So a number of things. And finally, as you mentioned, we do magistrate warnings. We go to the jails and we read people their rights, and we set bond.
Okay, and that's obviously a very important thing. A lot of people probably may never end up in jail. I don't know what, but that is part of your duties here in East Texas.
It is.
Precinct 1, again, covers which areas?
It covers mainly inside the loop, except the south loop. And so everything inside the loop is Precinct 1. And there's some areas like west of town where it's outside the loop, out there by Dixie Elementary School, if anybody's familiar. But it's mainly inside the loop.
Inside the loop, okay. Is there a high population of African-American and Latinos, or is it a mixed or pretty diverse?
It's mixed. Yeah, I would, I've been knocking on a lot of doors here lately, and there's a lot of Latino population and African-American. I think perhaps there may be a little more African-American now, but 5 years from now, it may not be that way.
What really motivates you, Judge Choice, to run for reelection? Is there something you're still needing to accomplish? Is there stuff that you really want to see change, or why reelection? I'm sure it's not an easy job, right?
No, it's not an easy job because most JPs are awakened in the middle of the night because tragedies and things don't happen from 8 to 5. And so there are many nights I've gotten up at 2 or 3 in the morning to go to an inquest. So it's not an easy job, but it's a rewarding job because once again, the JP's court is known as the People's Court, and so what makes me want to run for this office again is because there's more work to do. I have developed an attitude of being proactive. There's one thing to sit on the bench and be active and hear cases when they're called and when they're set, but yet another to try to be proactive in things that you see as a JP. For example, mental health. I've worked with the Andrews Center and those inmates that come in the jail that need some mental health. We work with the jail psychiatrists and we get them some help. Also, domestic violence. I've also seen a lot of that too, and there are things that I want to do with domestic violence. Should I be reelected? So I'm looking forward to being proactive and certainly continuing what we've already started to build here.
Is there a priority per se? Certain things you want to kind of focus on first? Is there really a priority, or how does that come about when you make a decision?
Yeah, the priority in my mind is still the outreach part and helping those who have been evicted. I'm like you said earlier. You're not on anybody's side. You're just here to do an interview. Well, even as a judge, when I make a ruling for the landlord, oftentimes my heart goes out to those who have been evicted. So I've gotten my office to develop resources so that they can get some help, maybe at their next spot, and that they rent a house from. And we also refer them to legal aid, which helps them with a lawyer.
How does that come about to be able to separate, per se, the way you feel with a person getting evicted and obviously making a decision? Because you have two people you're representing as a judge in your precinct. Yeah. You have the landlord, the business owner per se, and you have the family. How do you make that work? How do you balance that out? At
the end of the day, you have to follow the law.
Okay.
Here's an example. When I hear an eviction case and the landlord tells me, Judge, I'm filing an eviction on John Doe because he is 3 months behind on his rent. Then the tenant says, Judge, my stove doesn't work. There's roaches in the house. All these things are happening. So no, I'm not going to pay rent. The law says that you cannot withhold rent because something's not working, that you have to file a repair and remedy, and you have to be caught up on your rent. So in that situation, my heart goes out to, because they'll bring videos and pictures of all that stuff. So I believe it's there, but you cannot withhold rent in order to get something done.
Now, that would probably go to the fact that a lot of these people do not know the process and don't understand what they have to do.
Exactly.
Is there something that you're doing or a way that you're trying to educate those people to know that you can complain, but you have to do stuff maybe the legal way, you know? And I hate to use that term because it's being overused nowadays. Do it the legal way. But they have to follow the courts and the laws.
Right.
And people don't know that. Right. Sometimes when you're renting, you may not know what your rights are.
Exactly. Yeah, what I've done since I've been in office is have a workshop, if you will, at the Tyler Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce. I had a workshop with Constable Caraway, who is the Precinct 1 constable. He and I and the constable and the JP work very closely together. In fact, he serves all the papers that come out of my office, and so we had a question and answer and just some information about landlord-tenant relationships, and when you serve a writ of possession, what happens? A writ of possession is when you've gone to the last leg, and so the constable comes over to facilitate moving all your stuff to the curb. So before you even get to that point, we were trying to educate the community about all those things.
Is there challenges you think that the court's facing, right, trying to educate? I know when it comes to educating, people don't really tune in. Nope. And let's be honest, we could do this podcast versus a gossip podcast, and we'd probably have more views on the gossip of what's going, the scoops around town than we would about getting to meet the candidates and knowing. So what do you think are some of the biggest challenges you're facing in the court?
Yeah, is information like that, excuse me, which is getting the word out at the meeting that I just shared with you. Probably about 12 people showed up for that. And we ran it on Facebook and all the social media platforms. I think we may even announced it on a local radio station. But we tried to get the word out. So those are the challenges, because you're right. When folks come and they don't know that kind of stuff, and they're taking pictures and videos thinking that that's a good defense when they come in the court, it's not. So that's the challenge. Now, what I did not do, and I said Constable Caraway and I would do it next time, is put out something bilingual, in the Spanish, in the Latino community, so maybe they too can come and be a part of it.
Right. Yeah, I think it's very important to have the education. Talking about getting involved, obviously part of the important thing is getting the youth involved. How are you seeing, and what are you doing to try to accomplish that? I mean, obviously, our future belongs to those younger generations, and I don't think they're getting very involved. They're on TikTok right now and, gaming and all that stuff. So how can we draw interest to the politics for those kids that, and let's be honest, probably you and I could care less when we were teenagers what was going on in the political aspect of life, right? But now it's very important, especially with the climate that's going on in the country, right?
Yeah. Well, I think you do by going out in the community. I think you just can't stay on the bench and not engage and involve yourself in the community. We had a conversation about this earlier, and so I have gone to the elementary schools with invitation, and on the career day or something like that. And the counselor that invited me asked me, "Could you wear your robe?" I said, "Sure." So I come in with a robe and a gavel. And we get their attention right away, and hopefully that kind of sparks an interest, and so they may very well look at a career or have more respect for judges or police officers or whatever. I'm also a part of a mentoring group that Reverend Leonard Sperling conducts, and he calls on me and other judges sometime to go in and talk to a group of boys, just a group of boys. So we are trying to reach these young people, and sometimes you're right. You get those that they have to put out because he's not acting right. But for the most part, they're pretty interested in what we have to say.
Yeah, well, that's good. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, and I hope to see more young people really get involved.
Yes.
I know, especially in the Hispanic community, the Latino community, obviously, the immigration topics, the 287G, and I don't know how much control or say you have on a lot of that, but is there anything that you can say to those people in the community in regards to what's going on with the immigration situation? I know that's a big topic in the Latino community.
It's a big topic. I definitely disagree with ICE. I can't say that unequivocally. I think it's inhumane to run up to somebody and pick them up and throw them in a van with masks over their face and things like that. I definitely disagree with that. And so I applaud the effort today, that these kids walked out. We hope that they certainly knew what they were walking out for, but I support that. I disagree with that.
Is there something you can do as far, as justice of the peace, or are your hands pretty tied there?
Hands are pretty tied there. In fact, if someone is arrested and I go down to do a magistrate warning, they will tag it ICE hold or immigration
federal
hold.
detainer.
Yeah, federal detainer. So as a JP, I can say, no, I don't believe in this. Let these people go.
Right. You have to follow it.
So no, my hands are tied, unfortunately. Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully there'll be some change in that aspect, and obviously I know that doesn't come from your office, but
right.
So getting ready for the reelection. Is there anything in particular you're doing different this time? Obviously you have someone running against you.
Yes.
Y'all had a little debate, this past weekend, and I think some questions are coming in regards to that too. Okay. So we'll get to those in a second. But
right.
Is there anything you'd like to say to people as far as why you're the vote?
Yeah.
For Derrick Choice?
Yeah, I think I am the best candidate for this position because of the experience that I have. Only 3.5 years, but 3.5 years is better than no experience. My criminal justice degree is also a help. Although you do not need a criminal justice degree to become a JP, you only need a high school education. Why I think I'm the best person also is because I have worked with all segments of our community before. Maybe perhaps not as a JP, but well, actually as a JP. But I'm speaking of when I was engaged in the community when COVID was here, and myself and the Hispanic Chamber Business Alliance and the Metro Chamber, which is a black chamber, we approached George Roberts in the Northeast Texas Public Health District and said, look, our people aren't getting vaccinated, and we need to bring the vaccination to our community. So we went to St. Peter Claver, and we went to different the St. Louis Baptist Church, and we had COVID vaccinations. We offered COVID vaccinations, and the lines were long, but I think people were pleased that they didn't have to go to Harvey Hall at the time, and the lines were even longer. And so that's an example of working with the entire community, and that's what I've done, and that's what I plan to do and still do now as Justice of the Peace.
Do you think we'll ever be truly one community? I know we talked about this off air, and I know, a lot of the times we're not satisfied with certain things that are being done in the community, so we go and we develop. And you mentioned exactly something with the Tyler Metro, which is the African American Chamber of Commerce. Right. You have the Hispanic, and then you have the regular Chamber of Commerce.
That's true.
And to me, it's like, if you're part of a community, why do we have 3 different chambers of commerce to fulfill those certain roles only? I mean, within those communities, I feel like there should only be one chamber of commerce if we're all in the same city. Yeah. But do you really think there'll ever be a true unity and no differences in between us?
Only when we go to heaven. I don't. I think people, and we talked about it earlier, Sunday is the most segregated time in our communities. I go to my black church. The white folks go to their white church, and the Hispanic go to their church. You may see a 2 or 3 sprinkle in, but for the most part, we're segregated. The only time we really are together is on the job. When you're working with somebody and they're of another ethnicity, you get to know them a little better. But for the most part, everybody's go their own separate ways, and we're still segregated. So to answer your question, I'll go back to when we go to heaven.
Well, hopefully it's not anytime soon for us, So
everybody want to go to heaven. Don't nobody want to die.
Well, that's kind of the fun. That's kind of the funny thing, though. I always tell them. I said, I've never gone to a funeral where someone said they went to hell. So I guess we're all going to heaven.
That's right. That's true.
That's a different topic. All right, so. Do you mind if we read some of the questions? I know if anyone has a question, we welcome them to comment on there, and we'll go. I know you have, like I say, Dalila Reynoso is running against you. You've had a chat out there with her. You said not many people went, and that's, again, important. We have to get out there and listen to the conversations, listen to both sides. It doesn't matter who you vote for at the end of the day. What matters is that we make an educated decision for the best of your interest, whichever one's, whatever those may be. So I'll read you a question, and I think that is kind of going back to your interview with her. So it says, let me get back on my phone so I can read it, because it looks like it's a really long question. It says, Judge, first of all, I would like to thank you for the interview. I saw your debate with Dalila recently and wanted to circle back to a topic that y'all brought up about having a certified translator. You asked us, do you want a certified translator, or do you want to have someone to explain to you your rights and get out of jail quicker? Nowadays, with all the technical terms and the used in the courts, do you think that people that don't understand or don't speak English are entitled to a certified translator instead of just someone that knows how to speak the language without actually knowing how to explain correctly technical terms that are used in the legal? Why should we settle for a bilingual speaker when justice requires a certified interpreter who understands legal precisions, constitutional rights, and strict judicial ethics.
Okay. I felt like that was going to be circled back around to Texas law requires understanding and not delay. In other words, during a magistration hearing, a certified interpreter is what we should use if they're reasonably available. The law does allow a qualified interpreter so a person's right is not postponed. So when a JP go to the jail and do magistrate warnings, we don't know who went to jail that night. We walk into the jail, and like today, I went to do a magistrate warnings. There was no one that needed an interpreter. Everybody spoke English. Even though there were some Hispanic folks that went to jail, they could understand. They spoke to me clearly. Now, if they tell me, yes, Judge, there are 3 people that we need, they need an interpreter, and I pick up the phone and I call someone, and they say, well, we're about 30 minutes out, 45 minutes out. Texas law requires understanding and not delay. So I do not disagree with this person. We are moving toward certified interpreter. That meant a lot to the Hispanic community. It didn't fall on deaf ear. It did not fall on deaf ear. And I suspect, perhaps because of that dialogue we had, that we are moving toward that closer than you think. And initially I said, we're going to have to put it in the budget. But after that meeting, I found out that we could do it another way. And so I was going to experiment with that today, but we didn't have any. So I agree with this caller. I agree with the person that sent the question. We will be doing using a certified interpreter where reasonable, where they're available. If for some reason it's going to be an hour before they get there, 30, 45 minutes, Texas law requires understanding, not delay.
Okay. Now, I've been invited to the bail hearings, so I went one day down there. I don't know how much of the media actually gets to go down there, but there was one particular case where really the translation was not even a translation. It was just, very... I mean, most of it was just Spanglish, if we could say that. So I think it's important to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I mean, not to a certain degree, but, that everybody understands their rights.
Yeah.
Do you know whether a person needs a translator prior to you sitting down, or you find that once you're sitting down there?
Oh, no. Prior to me sitting down, yes. When I walk in, I'll ask. Because once again, this means a lot to the Hispanic community, so I didn't want them to think that it fell on deaf ear. So when I walked in this morning, I asked, is there anybody that needs an interpreter? And they said no. That's when I know. So,
but prior to you arriving at court, you are not made aware whether someone. Okay,
I do not know.
So it's not like someone's already done that little work of, hey, does anybody need a translator before the judge gets here? Let's call it in.
Right. No.
And could that be a process to say, hey, let's figure out before judge arrives? And
it could very well be. It could very well be a process, and I'm going to look into it. So I think this is an easy fix. It perhaps should have been addressed, but you live and learn, and so if we have an interpreter available, that's what we'll do. But it cannot delay, because I'm quoting the law here. Texas law requires understanding, not delay. So if someone is if I call an interpreter, they can't get there to 30 minutes. That person that I walk over there to, and somebody give them some Spanglish and say, look, you're going to wait 30 minutes. He's probably not going to like that. Texas law requires understanding.
Now, does he have the option to wait the 30 minutes, the hour, to have the certified translator, or do you just move on with what's available?
He could say, man, I need to get out of here, and I understand, but we have to make an effort to offer it to him.
Yeah.
And so that's what we would do.
But if he's in no rush, he could wait the hour and
Yeah.
wait for the translator.
Right, right.
And you have to wait as well.
And I have to wait as well.
Okay.
But that's why, as you said, they need to be contacted earlier where I won't have to wait, he won't have to wait.
Right, and I think maybe that should be a process. Someone gets to work at 8 o'clock in the morning and figures that out. Before judge arrives.
They know.
You know? Yeah. I don't arrive very early to the court.
Well,
y'all don't start the hearings until later.
You're right, not that early, but between 9 and 9:30, we do the bond hearings and the magistration. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Let's move on to another one. Bella says, according to article, Texas Code of Criminal mandates mental health evaluations for individuals showing sign of mental illness or intellectual disability. As a magistrate, how many mental evaluations have you ordered since you've been in office? Did you bring those records?
No, I didn't. I have not ordered not one mental evaluation because the judge has a psychiatrist. I mean, the jail has a psychiatrist on staff. In fact, I saw him today. He was talking. Well, I just talked to Joe Blow, and you need to get him some clothes on because he's talking better now, and so they are evaluated by the jail. Now, if the psychiatrist came to me and said, Judge, this guy, I need you to go ahead and order something where we're going to try to send him to Russ. There's a bed available or whatever. Of course I would. The Sandra Bland Act, it talks about, it allows the judge to do a personal bond, PR bond, if you will, and not to hold them in jail because we all know that mental health people don't belong in jail.
Okay. From Veronica, it says, what involvement has he had in our Hispanic Latino community in the last 3 years directly?
In the last 3 years directly, because I think COVID was 2020. I've attended the Hispanic Business Alliance luncheon. Her name, but she and I are friends. She'll get me if I forget her name.
Nancy.
Yeah, Nancy.
I'll help you out.
Nancy Rangel. Thank you. And so we stay in touch with one another, and I was a part of the Tyler Metropolitan Black Chamber of Commerce, and we have worked with the Hispanic Chamber on different little projects, but mainly. Whenever I sit on the bench, I deal with all ethnicities, and I certainly try to be very fair and impartial, and so I perform weddings for Hispanic community. I go to their houses to perform weddings. Some of them don't want to come down to the courthouse, so they invite me to their house and want me to stay and drink some cerveza, but yeah, I have an interaction with the Hispanic community, not a whole lot, but more so than one would think.
So going back, Paco, I think is going back to the translating, which I think is apparently one of the biggest topics, Judge, in regards to that. So it says,
on Saturday too.
So how can you understand if whoever is translating doesn't know how to translate properly? I think this is going back to the reason of a certified versus a non-certified translator.
Yeah, the only way I know is when the jail personnel and the jail pays their Hispanic employees extra money to translate. So all that translation is not bad because people seem to be understanding. Now, how do I know? Because when I stand next to that person at the jail, the jail administrator who just did the interpretation, I'll ask the lady, ask him if he understands, and she will ask him, and he'll say, "Sí." I do know that means yes. So that's the only reason I know. Otherwise, you're right. I don't understand. I mean, I don't speak Spanish.
And I wonder how many people actually understand, Judge, versus just saying yes because they don't understand and they're scared and they don't know what's going on, and maybe that's just an easiest way to, all right, let's get this over with, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. It might be, but I mean, if someone came up to you and had a conversation with you, but it's just a conversation. I think you're trying to make the language it's all legal. It's not that. It's not so legal. Yeah, you read them the rights, but it's hard for me to. It's like you telling me if another African American come up to me and talk to me, and I'm act like I don't understand. I know you guys, the Latino community, communicate all the time. I mean, do you think someone came in here and you would say, I don't understand what you're saying, and he's speaking Spanish? I mean, I just think that's a stretch to say that the jail personnel would not, and they are Latino, that they don't speak well enough to get a point across about whether you understand. That blows my mind. Now I want to go back to, I'm not getting away from the certified, but I'm just saying, what you're saying. I don't know. I don't think that someone would say yes just to move on. It's not that.
I'll tell you what, my mama would say yes just to get on.
Oh, well.
And my daughter would be one that you put to translate, and she probably would not know half of the stuff, even though she looks more Mexican than a Mexican. I'll just tell you that. Well, but it's just something we got to kind of.
I know when they talk to them and they tell them to move and come here and do this and do that, get off the phone, they do.
Right.
That's all I know. And I don't know what they said to them, but they do it.
Let's see if we have any other questions as far as this goes. I think that's all they had about the translation. I'm trying to get back through there. We should never be okay with violating someone's rights. Well, I know that's been said a lot about violating people's rights. Is there something that really is a reason why that's brought up against you of violating someone's rights?
Well, I guess because we don't provide a certified interpreter. So when you don't provide a certified interpreter, according to the folks that was there Saturday, it's violating their rights. Even though they may understand, but the law says, and I know the law was quoted, it says if a certified interpreter is not reasonably available, the law allows a qualified interpreter, so a person's rights are not postponed. So if you postpone them, you're violating their rights as well.
It says right here, during my buddy's trial, they had a certified translator, and they were awful at translating, and they were certified. So doesn't guarantee, I guess, whether certified or not certified.
No, but it's the law, and so we're ready to, we're going to follow the law.
What do you think would be the best course of action in this situation when they keep talking about the translators?
The law also says that you could use a phone and talk into it, and it converts it to Spanish, and then when he talks Spanish into it, it converts it back to English.
So more like an AI translation service or something.
You can do that too.
Is that with the AI translation or a system like that, or like when you go to the doctor and they put someone on the screen and someone's translating? I guess those are all options.
I think it's kind of, those all are options, but I think it's kind of like an AI deal. But yeah, okay. I've used it one time, but it's been maybe a year ago.
Do you think there's more need for the use and for a certified translator? I mean, this is apparently the hottest topic you have on your on your agenda with this campaign.
It is the law. It is the law, and if it's the law, then we need to do it.
What are the other things besides this translator do you think is really important for the community as a whole?
I think, once again, being able to work with all aspects of the community, all ethnicities, and I understand that we're on a Hispanic podcast and the translation, but there are other things that's going on in our community that we should be concerned about as well. It's all the vaping and whatever's going on now. JP can't do anything about that, but a JP sees that, and so something, some intervention needs to be done about that as well. So I just think while we certainly will look into this, I just think a JP's position is more than just getting a certified translator.
Right.
I listed all those things that a JP does, and you have to be inept, and you have to be ready to do those things in a professional manner.
And I think I've told you too before we got started that I tend to get myself in trouble because I don't always,
You did,
agree with what people say or what they expect you to do as a Latino. I'm sure as an African American man, you probably get yourself in trouble with the African American community,
exactly,
because you don't do exactly all they expect or think you should do for them.
You're right.
And I think overall, me too. I understand the immigration 287G is a huge topic,
right.
and it will continue to be. It is affecting, but there is also a lot of other things that have to be addressed that also affect the community.
Yeah.
I have kids who are not going to be affected by the 287G, but they could be affected by vaping or by other topics. So there is a lot of other conversations that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
And I think each community has its own problems. I'm sure, some of the issues in the African American community are a whole lot different than what we have in the Hispanic community, versus what the Anglo community has. And then we go in tiers of economical status. The richer end of the Hispanics have different problems than the poorer side of the Hispanics, and same thing in every community. So, what other focuses? You talk about vaping. Would you be really interested in addressing, or that we should all be focusing on? Besides just
I see a lot of drug uses, marijuana and weapon possessions. I get those every time. People driving out on the streets in Tyler, and police officers find a probable cause to stop them. They roll down the window, and the marijuana hits them in the face, and then they can search the car. And when they search the car, there's usually a weapon. So the drug problem that we're having has not gone away. People tend to think there is, but it hasn't, and it's affecting our kids, and some of them are getting records because they're doing that. Education. We need to continue to educate our community about all aspects of criminality.
Do you think those issues are more relevant in your community and my community as far as drugs and guns and violence? And we've talked about domestic violence, or do you see that, across all races, or is it heavier on ours?
Domestic violence across all races, with the drugs and the weapons, mainly African American and Latino.
What do you think would be a good approach to that? I know you talk about education, and let's be real and talk about this. In a lot of the African American households, the parents absent, and that's kind of a deal. In the Hispanic part, they're absent because they're out working and doing their own stuff. So how do you think we as a community can approach that when the main people responsible for the education maybe are not there? Is there something we can step in and do?
Other than what I talked about earlier, is be a part of a mentoring group. It takes a village to raise a child. So if you know of a group of kids, be a mentor. These mentoring programs are certainly popular now because oftentimes, like you said, maybe the father's gone in the African American community. Well, you step in and be that father. Maybe you don't, maybe a father figure. Maybe you don't go down that road. In the Hispanic community, same way. If they're working all the time, still doesn't mean that they don't need mentoring. My daughter, Dr. Melody Bush, is a principal at T.J. Austin School. The Hispanic to African American ratio is about the same, and the Hispanic may be a little higher. And she is looking for mentors at her school to talk to both the African American boys and the Latino boys, because she sees some of them starting to act out. So That's the only thing that I can come up with now.
Now, what would be a good way to convince our people to become mentors? Because let's be honest, we are quick to complain about the problems, but we're not quick to really jump onto figuring out a solution. And I don't think I visited Casa for Kids, and, they asked me, they're like, hey, we need more Hispanic families to become, volunteers, because these people can really connect more with their own people than hanging out with someone from a different race. But we don't. I mean,
we don't. It's,
I think the Hispanic community and the African American community probably are more alike than what we want to accept or that we want to merge. So I think it'd be interesting to really get our communities involved in this stuff.
I tell you what we need. We need a Black and Brown Summit.
Okay.
And put some topics on the agenda and figure out as together, because, we have a lot of issues in our community. I'm not saying the white community is excluded from problems, but we want to address our own, and I think we need a Black and Brown Summit. Okay.
And I think you're right. I mean, I think there's some problems that are for Hispanics and Blacks. Yes, the Anglo community has its own problems, but I think as a minority, we've been through a lot of stuff that I don't think many other people have. Let's see. Back to a couple of questions. I think they're asking about mental health for children. So obviously, we need help, and maybe we can stop people from going to prison if we get the help. So do you think addressing issues, or how can we do a preventative thing to avoid people ending up in the jail system?
There's a mental health for children. There are local nonprofit organizations around town that you can take your child to if you're starting to see some mental health stuff. I know the Andrews Center has resources that you can utilize or seek out. So that's being proactive. Sometimes when kids are acting out, it's not necessarily mental health, but maybe you can intervene before it gets there. And mental health for children sometimes is affected by what goes on in your home,
right?
That they see so much, and you expose them to so much that that it becomes some type of mental health issue.
Right. So, question from Veronica says, question for Mr. Choice, what do you bring to the table that should make us vote for you instead of the other candidate? I think we kind of talked about this. I think she's just now jumping on. So, if you want to go back to answer that.
Veronica, I think what I bring to the table is experience, even though it's only 3.5 years. In those 3.5 years in the office, we have achieved some goals. We've added on to our staff, which makes it more efficient for the people of Precinct 1 to come in. And if we have another body to go ahead and process your claims, to get your evictions set for court, small claims, any other thing that the JP does, occupational driver's license. And so adding that staff help with that. I've also implemented online filing, and so you don't have to come in to the office, especially a young person. The elder population probably will still come in, but young people love this technology, and so if you have a case, you can file it online. I'm interested in mental health, Veronica, and domestic violence. I see a lot of that as a JP when I go down to the jails, and I want to be proactive in those areas, and so that's what I would like to do. Should I be elected, along with just continuing to be transparent and continuing to be the justice of the peace that I've been for 3.5 years, and continue to get all the education that's offered.
All right, says this Miss Veronica as well, says, I love the idea of the Black and Brown Summit, and I wonder how we make that possible, Judge.
I don't know. We could get with
both chambers, huh?
Yeah, both chambers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paco says, Dalila has not just advocated for Latinos. She's actually been in front line for our entire community, and not only Hispanics or Latinos. She is well known and loved by the Black community as well. Chewy says, if he's a Democrat, that's all we got to know. Let's say they don't help our community, but at least they won't be against our best interest. All we Latinos want at this point is for them to just let us work in peace. And I think this is probably making reference to the situation with 287G and everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And obviously, we talked about that it's something beyond the justice of the peace control, right? Is there anything you can advocate for in that topic?
Not really. I mean, I applauded the constable who works closely with the JP1 office when he said that he would not apply for the grants and all that. He was just going to do his regular duties.
That's Caraway, right?
Yeah, that's Caraway. I think some of the people in the Latino community believe that when the sheriff's department did apply for one, that meant they were going to be rounding up people. I don't think it meant that, but I do know that ICE is a different animal. ICE come into town and they may stop me, because they're looking for somebody that is not over here legally and scoop them up. So no, as a JP, I don't think there's anything I can do on that aspect.
Are you running as a specific party?
Democrat, yes.
Okay. Another question. If anyone has a question, we're welcome to answer them. I mean, they're not treating you as bad as they treated you Saturday.
I know it. They roughed me up Saturday.
Obviously, the community, the Hispanic community, obviously the African-American community, too, always feels like they get mistreated within the court systems, or we talked about getting stopped earlier and you get treated a different way. And let's be honest and let's be real. That is true to a certain degree. I'm not going to say I've ever experienced it. I've always advocate for, the police because I've always done what's right.
Yeah.
Even if they were to tell me to pop my trunk and I probably don't have a reason for them to pop my trunk, I just pop it because I don't have anything back there. But how do you create that trust between the communities that have been very vulnerable, and obviously being an African-American, how do you be able to have transparency and trust with the Hispanic community? What do you think? What do you think would be a key thing to it?
Yeah, trust and transparency. You have to gain that trust and transparency. I remember a case I had in my court, a small claims case. It was a Hispanic body shop was being sued by an African-American gentleman. And I think I could just look at their body language, and they were thinking, oh, the defendant is black. Now, the plaintiff is black. He was suing them, and the judge is black, and so, we don't have a chance. But I remember that because that was kind of one of my first cases, and I proudly ruled in favor of the Hispanic body shop because he didn't have a case. So I wanted, and so it was. I was trying to let them know how fair. I wasn't trying to let them know, but I just ruled on what I felt like was the evidence. And so I think you have to be transparent to people and all ethnicities in the community.
So you have Ms. Dalila Reynoso tuning in to you, and she says, I testified before the Texas Commission on Jail Standards and the Smith County Commissioner's Court regarding inmate deaths, overcrowding, and to stop the criminalization of mental illness and substances. I thought she was coming with a question. That's okay. What she said. Okay. So they're like, knowing Dalila personally, what do you think about her?
Well, you call her Dalila. I call her Delilah.
Dalila.
Yeah, Delilah worked on my campaign last time, and she helped me tremendously. So I was surprised when she jumped in the race, but of course she declared that I was not doing enough for mental health, and the language line was one of her main issues. But it's not my position. The position is Justice of the Peace Precinct 1. And so may the best person win.
Do you feel like you have failed at something or not kept a promise? I know she said you haven't kept certain promises. Is there something that you personally feel like you did promise and didn't accomplish?
I didn't promise the language line. I think that Delilah is one that is always, for the Texas Jail Commission or whatever. I mean, whatever she works for.
Texas Jail Project, I believe.
Yeah, project or something. And so she's always, looking into things like that. So I did not. I can't think of anything I promised, because I can't deal with mental health. I mean, when I said I want to address mental health, unbeknownst to me, the jail has medical staff there. So if a person comes up to me, having been arrested the night before, I can't look at them and say, I'm going to get evaluation on you. You don't. I rely on.
You don't look right.
Yeah, I rely on the jail personnel and the psychiatrist, and the county used to have someone that would look over the cases, and they would say, well, Judge, this one right here, you might want to wait. We're going to try to get in touch with Andrews Center and so forth and so on. And then if we need you to order something, we'll call you back. And a lot of times if Andrews Center has them on their caseload, they would say, well, they just need to take their medicine, or or something like that. They are one of our patients, but they won't come in and take their medicine, things of that nature. So I can't. I don't know what did I my first campaign. I don't know. I just promised to be fair. But I'm not perfect. I'm sure something. Delilah says I failed on some stuff, but I'm not perfect. Perhaps I did. I just can't think of one right now.
Do you feel like you have unfinished work?
Yes, I have unfinished work, and that's why I'm running for reelection. The laws are constantly changing, and when you look at the laws, you try to adapt your way of being a judge. All judges aren't alike, even though the laws are pretty clear. There's something called a receivership that I want to do more looking into, where if you don't pay your credit card, then you're turned over to a lawyer, and they can garnish your wages and all of that. I'm not too happy with that, but I'm told as a JP you have to have a reason to turn those down. So I mean, that's just one example. I'm looking to maybe go paperless in the office, but still have paper available for the elderly population. So there's some things that I'd like to continue. Again, especially the service that we think Precinct 1 provides.
How would you measure the success of the justice of the peace? Do you think there's a way to measure, and not necessarily just yours, but obviously in general?
Well, I can tell you how. I don't know that they measure us like this, but I can tell you that we, when you can generate revenue, then you kind of holding your weight. In other words, when you have enough, when you have the staff to take all the filings of the small claims cases, of the debt claim cases, of the eviction cases, of the tickets, DPS tickets, then you and our revenue has increased, and so we're generating more revenue now than we ever had. Now, is that a good thing for average Joe citizen? Not really. If you're speeding in Precinct 1 and the DPS pull you over, then you have to come. The DPS just start back writing tickets in Precinct 1. They just didn't feel like they were getting any support from Precinct 1. But I welcome them back, because we don't want anybody getting hurt in our precinct, flying around, because it's not just inner city. It's out on the loop, the East Loop and the North Loop. Mm-hmm. So those situations.
Now, I know we talked about mental health. We talked about being in jail. We talked about this translator. But obviously for a lot of the community, those may be topics that they really are not interested in, because they may not need a translator. They may not be in jail, and they may not have mental issues. So what other topics are there that are important for the rest of the community as far as the JP goes.
Yeah, I think the small claims court really speaks to the average Joe citizen, because there may be a time where you feel like you've been wronged. Maybe a oil change place left the plug off and all your oil ran out and your motor locked up. Well, you can come to small claims court and file against that company. You do not have to have an attorney. You can represent yourself pro se, which means without a lawyer. As long as you have your facts, as long as you have the receipt and all of that kind of stuff, I think that's one of the main topics that our citizens take advantage of. They will come and file on someone if they are wrong, and they have every right to, because people will try to run over you if you don't have an ability to fight back, and Justice of the Peace Court is one of those courts.
Do you handle hot checks and all that stuff as well, or is that done somewhere else?
No, that's done somewhere else. Yeah.
All right. It says, let's see. Would you be open for another debate with Delilah?
Of course. I think to level the playing ground, I think the Tyler Organization of Men and the NAACP wants to hold one.
Okay. Be interesting.
Yeah.
I'd like to have both of y'all here too.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
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 We'll see. We'll talk. We won't get as rough.
Okay.
Our community pays a lot of tax. It's time for change. Robert says, all I remember from you saying that there was no money for that, and repeatedly said it while answering why there is no registered translator available for non-English speaking and the difficult to hear. I don't know if you understood that, but that's
so. Yeah,
hard,
I did, and so yeah, Robert.
I was not there, so I guess that's where I'm missing out.
Yeah, Robert. I did say that I thought that we had to put it in our budget, and to get translator money available, because I know translators are not free and they're probably pretty expensive. Only to find out, Robert, because when I attend somewhere and information comes out, it doesn't fall on deaf ears. So I went and did a little more research, and I found out that we could call a translator on a phone. We have a phone number to call a translator, and we can also use the phone. So yes, I did say that, but I've been corrected.
And that's always a good thing, right? You learn.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time coming out here. I don't know if there's anything else you want to let people know about yourself or about the campaign or reelection.
No, just I'm the only choice on the ballot.
Hey, did they tell you that? No, you just made that up right now, or
no,
that's been your line.
That's been my line.
Man, that's a good one. Well, I'm going to give you a chance. This is not a paid interview. Again, this is just an interview for people to come out here and talk about, what they're running for, what they vision, what they've done, and have a dialogue with the other side. As a lot of people say, you're coming to the Latino side of things to kind of show your face and answer questions. So this is the spot where I give it back to you, not as a paid advertisement, not as an endorsement, but an opportunity for you to let people know why they need to vote for you. This is like your open mic. This is your commercial right here, Judge Choice, of why you are the choice.
All right. And so I thank you for the interview this evening. It was a pleasure getting to meet you, and hopefully I was able to answer some of the questions, maybe not to the satisfaction, but the best of my ability. Now, this upcoming election, March 3rd, 2026, will be the March Democratic primary. I'm asking for your vote for re-election to the office of Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1. I am the more experienced candidate, and once again, although you do not have to have a degree, I have a degree in criminal justice, and so I'm educated in the area of criminal justice, and more importantly, I believe that there is more work to do, and I believe that we need to reach out in the community and look at issues like minority health and domestic violence, and even being mentors for young people, as the host and I just talked about. There are a lot of more things that I would like to do and want to do, and I look forward to doing those things. And so remember, the early voting starts February the 17th, and it runs through the 27th. And I would really like for you to consider voting for Derrick Choice, reelection for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1. Thank you.
Judge Choice, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with us, talk to us a little bit about your work and, your re-election campaign. I know it's been a little rough here lately, and dialogues are being done, and I think that's important. Yeah, so
I think it is too.
I really appreciate you coming out and talking to us, and like I say, maybe we'll sit down and have Delilah one of these days together and have another conversation. And
all right,
I wish you the best, and thank you for your time and for your work.
Okay, thank you.